Radnor Township Board of Health will come to order. Please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. Thank you. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes of our last meeting? I want to thank again Ms. Mosier Mills for being so prompt in getting them together. Take a few seconds and look them over, and I'll ask for a motion to approve. It's been moved by Ms. Wishner, second. Dr. Ballard has seconded. Any discussion, any corrections, deletions, additions? Hearing none, I'll ask for the ayes. All in favor? Aye. Any contraries? Okay, the minutes are approved as submitted. Great. At this point, I'll ask Mr. Taltone, our Township Health Officer, to indicate any announcements that he has and follow that up with your Health Officer's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good afternoon to the board members. The only announcement that I do have is Dr. Offit regrets that she was not able to be here tonight. She had a conflict in her schedule. As far as the month of November, we were able to do 41 food safety inspections. We worked on some construction documents to help out with the building construction inspectors for plan reviews. Some bathing place inspections, we did 3, and brand new citizen quality of life issues, property maintenance, and some animal-related issues. Regarding new food facilities in Radnor Township, I just wanted to make the announcement that we had 3 brand new ones that just opened up. One is the White Dog Cafe, which is at 200 West Lancaster Avenue. It's mid to upscale restaurant. It's a transplant from Philadelphia downtown. Has a great following, and it's now open. Also, we have Matador Restaurant, which is on North Wayne Avenue, 110 North Wayne, next to Christopher's. It's a Mexican restaurant that just opened up. And as of Friday, we just had a new little coffee house at the Wayne train station called Fabio and Danny's. It's a nice little spot, so for those who catch the train in the morning, commuting into Philadelphia, it's a nice little spot to get your coffee. On the informational items, I put a copy of the resolution that the Board of Commissioners passed regarding the Delaware County Department of Health. It's in your packet. Just as an FYI, next month, January the 28th, we'll be holding here a Certified Food Safety Professionals Training class as required, and I'll talk a little bit more about that at the end during my report. And your health alerts and advisory and updates, as I received them, I've sent them out. We had about 3 or 4 of them that were sent out during the month of November. January the 21st, Governor Rendell signed a new law, House Bill 174, food protection. And beginning January the 22nd, that law goes into effect. And what it requires is that 30 days after we do a food safety inspection, we must submit all of our food safety inspections to the state. And what they do is they put those inspections online, so that if food facility or residents want to go out and try a new food facility or one that's existing, they can see what kind of food safety practices they're actually practicing. And so I think it's a good thing. They told us about this about 3 years ago, and in that process, with myself and Melissa Kahn, the IT from Radnor Township, we matched their program. So we've been ready. We've been waiting for them to ask for them, and so that's, I think it's good ready to begin. In that process, There's a couple other components that are important. One is that from now on, everyone will have to follow the same FDA standards. Whereas some municipalities may be having their own food safety standards, some are using the FDA standards. Well, now everybody will have to use them. Just for FYI, we have been using them here in Radnor Township. The third component of that is that every food facility will have to have a certified person certified in food safety on every shift, rather than just one employed by the restaurant. So that's important. And to that end, I've asked the Department of Agriculture to provide someone who will be here, and they're going to be speaking to the members of the Delaware County local boards of health inspectors. All of the inspectors in Delaware County will be here. I'm hoping. I've invited them. And Bobby McLean from the Department of Agriculture will be here, and he's going to highlight all those changes and those things that are important. So I've reached out to them, they've accepted, and so we're going to make sure that we're on the top of our game. So ends my report, Mr. Chairman.
What is the date of that event, the one you just described?
That's going to be January the 21st, 2010.
Facility here?
It's going to be right here.
Okay, thank you.
I have one. Do you keep track of what, for example, are the most frequent problems that you find? Like, do you, are your inspections entered into a database that you can sort by different things, or not? It's not really that kind of thing.
No, it's not that. I can sort for some things, but I can't sort for, like, for example, I can't sort to find out whether or not well, first of all, we're lucky we haven't had any foodborne outbreaks. But I couldn't search, for example, to find out if I had a problem with hand washing facilities and do a sort like that. Some of the more broader things I could probably do a sort for.
Any other questions or comments on Mr. Taltone's report? Thank you for that information, Mr. Taltone. We'll move on to old business. The first item listed is the Delaware County Department of Public Health. As Mr. Taltone indicated a week ago tonight, the Township Board of Commissioners met and approved the resolution which I had sent to you via email before that meeting by a vote of 5-2. The resolution was approved. I want to take this opportunity to thank Amy Wishner for being here with me that night. Her input as we were closely questioned by the commissioners was invaluable and helped us a lot. I know Dr. Leader wanted to be with us, but was ill, unfortunately, that evening. We also had a representative of the League of Women Voters, Delaware County, whose testimony was proved to be not needed, and so she did not, in fact, speak. But just the fact that she was there and ready to support us was important. So again, by a vote of 5-2. Now, the resolution in and of itself really basically is very good to have, but we need to figure out what to do to bring that resolution to the county council. Just for your information, I have sent an email and a copy of the resolution to Brenda Gutanda, who heads the Environmental Advisory Council, and because many departments of health have an environmental health component, and I think it would be important for them to know very early on what we're doing in that area and to enlist their potential support, so they will be discussing that at their meeting this month. Genevieve, I don't know if you're going to be able to attend it, but
Actually, we had to have a meeting, because of the holidays, they had a meeting in November at a different date than the November meeting, so and then they're not meeting in December, so I wasn't able to attend that meeting.
okay, so I assume then that will be their first meeting in January. That will be an item on their agenda. I did follow up and try to reach out to Mr. Nagel, the chair of the Board of Commissioners. I haven't heard back from him yet. So I think we need to, again, as I said, strategize as to how we move this forward and get it up to the next governmental body, and I'm open to any discussion along those lines. Dr. Ballard.
I was just going to ask exactly that. What, I guess we need a lesson in our civics class here is the relationship between the township and the county. Is there a commissioner that attends county functions? What is the reporting relationship between the township and the county? We'll have to be very careful not to step on toes, because even though we all believe this is a great idea, it's going to have a tag attached to it with dollars on it. And this will immediately get the attention of people who are budget oriented, and we need to make sure that we move in a progressive fashion and not offend anybody with our enthusiasm.
That's an awfully good point about the liaison between the Board of Commissioners and the County Council. I know Mr. Fisher, who is also our liaison from the Board of Commissioners, has attended some meetings of the County Council, but I'm not certain whether that's a regular thing that he does. He attended some meetings in connection with the H1N1 vaccine distribution issue last year. But we'll make an effort to find that out and figure out, I think at the very minimum, a letter or a memorandum from Mr. Nagel to the county council, perhaps co-signed by our township manager, would be a good start to that, and then we could follow up with, asking to testify on that issue before a forthcoming county council meeting. Any other?
I don't have a thought, but I have another question that somewhat in the line of how does this process work? Do we know if we're the only township in Delaware County that's sort of moving this along? Are others doing this alongside of us? Should we be partnering with other townships to move forward, or how does that process work? Or do we know what other townships are doing?
I don't know the answer to that, and that's another thing we could find out perhaps through the League of Women Voters, because they've been in touch with more townships than just ours on this issue. So we can make a note to follow up in that direction as well.
I think we have an asset here in our fine health officer who would know which townships are the more active in health reporting and all that sort of thing. Might be able to give a liaison some ideas as to which other townships, which townships are more active than others.
I'm not aware of any others at this time, but I can try to find out.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, so we will be following up on those matters. I've offered in my email to Mr. Nagel to draft the appropriate letter to the county council, and so hopefully we can follow up on that and also find out who on our Board of Commissioners is, if anyone, is delegated to liaise with the county council. And we can at least follow up with the League of Women Voters on the issue of who else is moving on this within the county, which other townships. Before I move on to teen health issues, I just want to indicate that unless Mr. Taltone has different information, Chapter 115, the animal control ordinance that we had sent up to the county commissioners for action, so far has not been acted on.
That's correct. To my knowledge, it has not been, the Board of Commissioners have not looked at it yet.
Okay, which is understandable in a way, because that takes a little bit more time, and they've been very preoccupied with our township's budget, without which nothing. So we'll let them get all settled in that, from that process, and then try to follow up on that. Mr. Taltone, I'll ask you to monitor that, so that if it does appear on their agenda, you can let me know as promptly as possible.
I will.
Thank you. At this point, we'll move to teen health issues, and I know Dr. Leader and Ms. Mosier-Mills are ready to discuss that with us. Dr. Leader.
Well, we had decided, I believe rather early on when Allison came, that one of the things we would try and do is do one of the Radnor Health Matters on a teen health issue. And hopefully it could be shown definitely here locally in Radnor, but maybe also in the high school. So we wanted to try and wrap up what we thought our definite topic was, and then start to think about a timeline for finding our speakers and moving forward on our taping date. Keeping in mind that we would like to finish hopefully in the early spring, so that we have time to still show it during the school year. So Allison was kind enough to do an informal poll in Radnor among friends and classmates about things that were on their mind about health issues in Radnor High School and things that they'd want to know more about, so that we could think of a list of possible topics. So did you want to just quickly maybe...
Sure. Some of the issues that I'd come up with were sleep, healthcare after high school, especially in college, concussions in sports, infections, depression, relationships with parents, driving, nutrition, and stress.
We have a pretty nice topic selection there. I was thinking that we would try and pick, and this is a 30-minute taping, correct? One, yes?
It can actually be as long as we need it to be.
Okay. I was thinking that we would try and pick things that maybe are not being addressed to the teens in a normal manner. Like that, we think that they probably see a lot of things on driving, maybe, or drunk driving, or sort of those more common teen topics. But there's some in her list that I thought were really interesting, and the teens might not be getting information on them because they're just a little bit different, but are definitely teen health issues. So I didn't know if other board members, some of those things that she just mentioned, struck you as potential topics, or you have thoughts on them. But it's up to the rest of our crew here.
Having a teenager, I could tell you, as she went right down that list, I was like, yep, that's a concern, yep, that's a concern, yeah. So I like them all,
right?
yeah. But I think sleep actually is probably something that's pretty underrated. And, you know, when you have teenagers that are sleeping till, 11 to 1 on the weekends, they must be lacking some sleep.
I'd second the sleep issue. And being a mother of twins, I had one that was very bad with the sleeping, and the other one who was very organized, and so she could, she did sleep, but it's an issue that they really were concerned about.
I think for me also the health care after high school. I agree, sleep, but the health care after high school was the other one that struck me.
Anyone else have any input? I also have a teenager in the high school, and as Dr. Donato said, just about all of those issues. I think nutrition is certainly one of the issues that strikes me as being very important and perhaps contributes to other health issues in teenagers as well as all of the rest of us. But I think healthcare after high school and sleep are also important, but my vote might go with the nutrition.
I think with all of them, I mean, I also have 2 teenagers, and I think with all of them, the, you know, sort of peer influence seems to be an important aspect. I guess the thing with sleep, I mean, I think part of it seems to me something also about the technology, you know, the 24/7 aspect of the technologies that they're, you know, brought up with and just kind of immersed in. And, you know, I mean, I think that's an area, I mean, I know there has been research done with it, but I also think it's an area that we're kind of in big experiment, you know, that we're going to sort of see the pros and cons of it as these generations, you know, get older. But in a way, because it has that sort of new and different aspect about it, I think it's kind of interesting.
I wonder if we could do something under the broader heading of taking care of yourself, and do things like sleep, the importance of sleeping well, and the importance of good nutrition, and how to access healthcare. I don't know if that's taking on too much, but the broader context of keeping yourself well and healthy in high school, with maybe those 3 sub-contexts under it. I don't know if that's taking on too much in a half hour or however long we think it is, but maybe we could do a sort of healthy in high school with some subtopics.
Could be a 3-part series too
It could.
of how to do that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I was about to make it, as I indicated before, we needn't confine ourselves to half an hour. I like the half-hour format because I think people's attention spans and what they need to move on to as they're watching a program, you know, half an hour is probably an optimum time for this sort of thing. That's why in previous programs on the Radnor Health Matters series, we've confined it to that length of time. But I like the notion of putting something under the umbrella of taking care of yourself, because for teenagers, that's what clearly they should be moving on to, and should have moved on to, actually. And we could put a lot of things under that, knowing how to take medications sensibly and following regimens in that regard is equally important, and not abusing those.
I think the other thing, I like that idea, Amy, of, you know, having a couple things. Also, just in sort of thinking about it, I like that, you know, if you had a couple of shorter segments, that does go with the shorter attention span related to the media thing. And also, you know, hopefully coming up with a couple specific, you know, here's what you can do today, you know, under these areas of, you know.
Fast facts, or like quick tips or something.
Yeah, helpful, yeah.
I know it wasn't on the list, but I think it's important when we're talking about nutrition and teens to get into a regular habit also of exercise. So I don't know if we can do something in tandem on that issue. You know, it's just been shown that if we can get our teens to eat right and exercise, you know, just as far as obesity issues.
Has any thought been given to, I'm a little naive to this process, is this envisioned as panel discussions or whiteboards with people putting points up, or how do you envision doing something like this? I'm just trying to picture it.
My only experience is the one that I had done last year, which was where there was, Herb interviewed 2 of us who would be considered the panel of experts. We could do something similar, maybe where Allison does the interviewing of our panel of experts, something like that. Or, I don't know, we can we're open to ideas. Whatever you think would be the most interesting too for the teens too, because I mean we don't want to bore them. We might bore them to sleep, which actually could be bad. But we're open to ideas, so we want to involve Allison. We want her to be involved in it in some role. So that is
Yeah, Amy is exactly right. The format has been, behind that wall over there is a studio. And in the rear part of that is a little set with a sofa and an armchair, coffee table. And it looks very homey and, when it comes across on the screen. We've done that format where I've interviewed people who had some expertise in a given field. The one that Dr. Leder referenced was on HPV and the vaccine to prevent it. And we've done programs with Ms. Wishner on flu, and so that's been the format. I mentioned to Dr. Leder and Ms. Mosier-Mills before the meeting that it would be neat if we could figure out a way to have as part of this, to insert interviews on the campus of the high school with students, so that it gets a sense of immediacy of it's a program for them. And I think it becomes more interesting to look at in that sort of format. So what I would like, I don't know if that's possible to do, very honestly, but it's something that if we could look into it and pull it off, it would, I think, immeasurably enhance this program.
Allison, I definitely like the idea of you and maybe even a couple of other teens being involved in the interviewing part, because I want suggestions that come out to be practical and not something that some adults think, oh yeah, here's what you should do, and meanwhile it's totally unrealistic in terms of demands of high school or, you know, whatever. And I guess just my only other, so, you know, you could think about who you would like to involve. And I guess the other thing, isn't there a video club at a high school?
Yeah, there is a class called digital video production. There's also a TV studio, and I'm pretty sure that the person who runs it is on maternity leave right now, but I can find out if it's still running right now, even though she's not here.
Because there's no particular reason, is there a particular reason it has to be done here?
No, I don't think so. It's just the way we had done it. No, not at all.
The only reason would be is if this studio is not available. And as I said, I'm all for moving the venue to the high school because, again, it gets to the immediacy and it's their program rather than, you know, this is what thou shalt do, handed down from us. Well, have we given, you have enough of a sense of direction?
I think so. What do you think, Allison?
I liked the idea of the 3-part with like the nutrition and exercise and sleep and access to healthcare, and I'm not sure if you'd want to put them all in one and just have like fast facts, as you said, or if you'd want to have like 3 separate segments. But I thought that was a good idea, the general heading.
I like the idea too, and I have no problem in doing it in 3 segments. In previous years, we've done 2 or 3 editions of Radnor Health Matters on different issues, and I have no problem with designating this year the year of the teenager, and we'll just devote all of our Radnor Health Matters programs to this. I think it's important.
Yeah, I agree. So our next steps from here would be, well, we I guess need to see the facilities at Allison and if you could let us know if you think anything over there's available. And if not, I guess we could always use this spot. and we'll need to start to identify our experts. And I was thinking, Amy, you might have some good leads maybe from AAP. If we could be in touch with that about developing our experts, and we'll go from there.
There is also a dietitians organization, organization of, I think it's registered, RDH is the initial after their names. And one of the past presidents is a local person. Her name is Althea Zenikowski. She's interviewed all the time on NPR and on television on different issues. In fact, she was, I think it was in Newsweek a couple of years ago, in which she famously indicated that due to a lot of nutrition problems and other health-related issues, that this generation of young people may be the first in a long time that will not live as long as their parents, on average.
So I think over the next month or so, we'll start, Allison and I, and anyone else who wants to be involved, we'll continue to work on this, and we'll start to move it forward and get it going.
Okay, and I'll just ask that we get a progress report at our January meeting. Okay, thanks. Radnor Reach is the next item. I don't know if there's been any movement on that at all.
No, they're looking at doing something next year.
Which is around the corner. That's
But I'm on the list, so.
okay. Great. And Ms. Burns, you've already sort of given us your EAC report, unless you have anything additional.
Just one more thing. On April 9th, 2011 is going to be the 14th annual EAC conference. It's going to be held at Villanova.
Is the public invited, or do you have to be a member of a commission or council?
It seemed to be a public. I'll have to look into that, but I thought it was public that they have it open to, but I will look into that.
Thank you. Yeah, great. Any further old business? Any new business? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting, but first let me, whatever holiday you're celebrating this season, let me wish everyone present and viewing this meeting on television the very best of all holidays, and all the best in the year ahead in 2011. And we'll see you all in January. Meeting's adjourned.